Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I'm your host. My name is Karolina, and I'm the connection catalyst and manifestation mentor. Today on the show, we have Pearl Cicci, the intuitive health coach and mindset coach. That's funny. Mindset coach. I love making mistakes at the beginning of the podcast. Intuitive health coach and mindset coach for coaches. Welcome to the show, Pearl. How are you doing?
Hello. Oh my gosh, I'm doing amazing. I'm so happy to be here and so grateful to share whatever comes up and experience your best questions and just give value to your audience. So super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm already in a super funny mood because making a mistake in speech when you start the podcast is like the funniest thing ever. But I hope that everyone enjoys my mindset quote
It happens
from
to
today
everyone and
on.
it shows that you're human. So I'm here for it.
Me too, and especially that when we make mistakes, it's actually really cool to just laugh at it because, like, what else can you do? It's like everyone makes mistakes, and you can either just cry about it or you can laugh at it. And I choose to laugh at it. So,
Yeah.
just that's just how it goes. That's how it goes. Amazing, Pearl. So I'm so excited to jump straight in and ask you first about the background. Why did you decide to be a coach, and especially intuitive health coach? When did your journey with intuition start as well, and how did it unfold for you that now you're on the mission to help other coaches?
Yeah, great question. So this could be literally the whole podcast, but I'll try to do a Sparks Notes version for you guys. So I started out my journey as a dietitian. So I'm not sure where your audience is, but in where I'm from Canada, and dietitians are kind of like the health person, like we're registered. It's kind of like the doctor for nutrition, if that makes sense. So I went to school for 6 years, studied human nutrition, and really got a really good understanding of nutrition and the diet and how to help people be really healthy. And I wanted to be in this field because, well, my true passion is dancing and it still is. And I wanted to be a dancer when I was younger. But society told me that dancing is not a real job. I should go get a real job. And I was like, well, fine. Well, I guess I'll just do something else. And so what I was called to was health and nutrition because I've always been into fitness and I was younger. I was always doing something active and my family, I'm very grateful that we had a pretty healthy lifestyle, my family. So I noticed there was gaps. I was like, noticed that people like my friend group, for example, they wouldn't have as much energy as me, or they would like always complain about their acne and their skin and that they were having really bad experiences with their health. And I was like, I'm like, but I don't feel like that. I was like, but what is the missing gap? And not only my friend group, but my parents and my aunts and people just weren't healthy. And I was like, you know what? Let me help you with your health. Cause, at a young age, I was like, I'm a healthy person, which I was, but I was like, I'm going to help people with their health and help them understand that. So I went to school and I graduated and then I got a job right away. And like after a year, I was conditioned to be like, yeah, this is it. I've made it. Like I've graduated and I have the 9 to 5 that pays me barely.
Yeah.
And like, whoa, I'm a dietitian now, and I was just like so proud that I was a dietitian. And it was great, don't get me wrong, right? But it wasn't for me. Like this profession is incredible. There's so many amazing dietitians out there, but it wasn't for me. And I would go to work and I would feel so anxious, so depressed, so like not motivated. And I was like, what is happening? Like, why do I feel like this? And I just would go into work and every day and I'd come home feeling drained and exhausted. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like something is not lining up. And so the environment in the hospital is very hard for me personally, for the type person I am, to work with people that weren't really there. Like they didn't care about their health. I mean, their nutrition. They wanted to get better. Like this is people that they just had heart attacks or they just really experienced something traumatic. And I'm coming to them, I'm like, hey, how you eating? You get enough protein? Like they're trying to like worry about the fact that they need to live. And so it just wasn't the type of people that I wanted to work with because they just weren't in the state that they were open to receiving advice for change, or they were open to really focus on their nutrition right now. So I just felt like I was useless. Like I was seeing all these patients, but not making any progress. And I wasn't sure if I was actually even helping them. And so I eventually started feeling so bad. And I was like, I need to leave this job. Right. And something else happened in the hospital. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to quit. So I quit. And I quit like cold turkey, had no plans, no backup. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And then COVID hit. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, no way. I had no idea. And I had no job. I was like, oh. freaking out. And so I was like, well, let me look at what I can do with my nutrition knowledge. And I was like, okay, I'll be a nutrition coach. I was like, coaching's a thing. Wow, I had no idea coaching was a thing. So I wanted to be a nutrition coach. And so I Googled a bunch of things and talked to other coaches and just started doing the online things. Everything was online now because of COVID. So I was like, okay, like how do I get started? And this all evolved into like me attracting certain coaches, attracting certain entrepreneurs, starting my coaching practice. And then, yeah, it's just really evolved. And then over time, people asked me to help them with their movement. And so I became a personal trainer and I do group fitness. And now I dance. And now it's like this whole thing. And then I realized like through my first few clients, like we were doing more structured like meal plans and like I was counting their macros for them, like the typical nutrition and fitness things you see. And I was like, this didn't feel good to me. And I'm like, I don't really feel like this is how we're supposed to eat. And so I personally started doing intuitive eating. So I used to do like intermittent fasting and a couple other things, but it didn't feel good to my body. So I'm like, let me just listen to my body and tune into what it wants to eat and what feels good to me. And so I started teaching people about that. And that's evolved. And now I'm here. And so that's my story, long story short.
Wow, that's amazing. I already have a few questions based on the story that you shared, because like that's a question between like what society and science tells you that is right for you to eat versus what you actually really intuitively feel like you need. Because like, and you said you did intermittent fasting. I've done fasting like for extended periods of time. And I done twice 3 weeks fast. And I realized that when I was doing this fast, I was like, I actually just got access to the energy, like through my crown chakra. I felt like after the 3.5 days of dry fast, the first time when I did it, I literally got access to Reiki energy, or prana, or whatever you can call it. But I felt like my crown opened, and literally the energy was coming into me throughout my whole body, like throughout my spine and my whole body. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually getting the straight prana, like I'm getting the divine energy. I don't actually need to eat. And that was just a knowing that I've had inside. But then all the people tell me, oh, if you don't eat meat, then you're liking this or that, or oh, if you don't do this, then. And I was just like, okay, I didn't eat for 3 weeks. I was on a water fast, but then I actually didn't eat for 6 months. I was on liquids because it felt so great. I felt so much energy that I didn't even want to eat. And I felt like it's actually amazing not to eat. But then it kind of defied, is that how you say it? It was contradictory to all the things that I've learned at school, or all the things that people were telling me, like, I need this, I need that. But I actually felt like through the meditation and through the breathing and through the pranayama and just all these things, I was just getting enough energy for my body to feel amazing. And I've done the blood test, and because, my family was freaking out, like, how the hell you're not eating and whatever. I've done all kinds of stuff, right, to check if I'm actually healthy. And I didn't really lack anything. And so I'm just, questioning, because also I was young. It was a few years ago, now I'm 30 years old. So I know that it's like young body, so it's different. So, people have different opinions about it. But that makes me question, like, what is actually real when it comes to what is actually necessary for our body and what is not? And how does the intuition play with this? Because for me, at that time, at least intuitively, I didn't need food, and I just didn't have it for months, because I felt like I don't need it to function, and I actually feel great without it. But then when you study science, and when you study like, how our body works and whatever, you learn, okay, you need this amount of this amount of fat, this amount of whatever. And so I'm curious about your perspective on it, because to me, it's a lot about beliefs, about what you believe, really. And then everything is like shaped based on what you believe is true. Because if you're going to believe that if you don't eat for 3 days, you're going to die, after the third day, you're going to feel so shit that you're probably going to have to eat. But because I had a very strong mindset, like, I don't need food, I know that I am able not to eat. And I've had, seen examples of people that didn't eat and they were fine. So I had a really very strong belief that, like, my body will function perfectly if I don't eat. Was just, first process was challenging, but still. So I'm curious to know, like, what is your take on it? Because, like, you are mixing both, like, the scientific and the, proper, let's say, or I don't know, more collective approach to this versus, like, really feeling what your body needs, and being in this, like, spirituality field where that all these teachers like Buddha, Jesus, or whoever else, they were fasting and they actually just got more connected to the divine through this process. So yeah, I'm curious what you want to share about this topic.
Yeah, wow, there's a lot there. And so there's so many things I can share. I like to kind of bridge the two, right? So Of course, there's the scientific part, but I always encourage people to practice discernment or to just be self-aware of like what is for you, what is not for you. And of course, this might take some exploration. This might take figuring out, might take trial and error, right? So of course, like scientifically, we do need a certain amount of nutrients. We do, like, if we never ate protein, that's not good for our bodies. Like, right, we need to eat certain things. We need to have vegetables and fruits and proteins and things like that, right? And so I share the knowledge like, okay, this is what we need to eat, but how you get that is up to you. So for example, I'm plant-based, mostly plant-based, but also intuitive. So like most of the time my body, I crave and want to eat more plant-based foods. Amazing. But once a month, my body's like, maybe eat some chicken. I'm like, okay, cool. We want chicken. Like, we'll eat some chicken. And so that's for me though. And so it's like, okay, what are we working for you? And it takes, depending on where you are with your intuition, your body, and your past habits and conditioning, it might take time to get to the place where your body's like, you're able to build your relationship and build the trust between your body communicating with you and you acknowledging it. Most of the time, we just ignore our body cues. We ignore what our body's telling us. And so we break that trust. And so there's a process to really rebuild it. And in that process, it might be a little less clear what you do need to eat, what you're craving. Your cravings are based on like your childhood, like, you're in this weird state, right? And so as we shift through that, you get more clear. It's like, oh, okay, so Pearl says that I need to get X amount of protein in. Okay, like, do I want to eat meat? Do I want to eat vegetable proteins or beans, or like, how do I get that? Like, what feels good to me? And then we're going to eat a bunch of food and you get to see what your body feels good, like what feels good for you. And like, people know almost instantly. Like, personally, I think I'm more tuned in, but you can know within half an hour or an hour at least how you feel on that food. Your body will either feel energized and lighter, or you're going to feel like sluggish and groggy and tired. And you'll know like, okay, well, I ate that and I feel like this, so that's probably not for me. And then we shift and we move. And so it's an experience, a learning thing. And I really think like there's value in both. There's like, okay, yes, we need X amount of protein based on your weight and XYZ. But then it's like, okay, if you get that amount of protein, how do you feel on that protein? Do you need less? Do you need more? Different days look different, right? Did you work out more today? Do you like, and so it's about using that knowledge as a baseline, but then being intuitive with it and listening to the responses during the day of your body to really find out what works for you, and knowing that this is going to change as you get older, as you grow, as you pivot, as things change in your life, that will change. And so always just bringing it back to what your body's telling you, how you feel about it, and being open to the shifts and the moves. I don't believe like people that are like, oh yeah, like I'm just going to never eat this again. Like, what do you mean? Like, no, you're open, you're allowed to, or it's like, I'm going to be plant-based or vegan forever. Like, yeah, you can, but also is that what your body's telling you or what you're telling yourself? What you mentioned about beliefs is so true. It's like, if you believe you're going to die after not eating for 3 days, you are. Like, your body's going to be like, oh my God, I need food right now. Like, because you're telling yourself this narrative. And so like, I've heard many people that fast for extended periods of time and they're fine. But of course, it's not like never eat for years. That's not ideal. But it is like, if you want to go an extended period of time, and your intuition's like telling you, yeah, like keep going, like doing this for whatever intention you want to do or whatever your purpose is, that's totally fine for you. And then once your body's like, hey, eat food now, you go eat food now, right? And so it's kind of like the balance between that. And so, yeah, that's what I want to say for that.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this perspective. I actually know a person who hasn't eaten for like 3 years, and but she is a shaman as well. She's like super in the spirit world, and she was kind of like on the edge of human and spirit world. She could pick any, but that also depends like how much do you want to be grounded and how much do you need maybe to be in, let's say in the higher realms of consciousness, because I feel like food really grounds you. It brings you to earth because it's an earthy energy, right? So if you need like be more earthy, like I have my best friend and ex-partner, he actually was vegan for like, I don't know, 10 years or so, and he's recently really felt like he needs more grounding and like fast, and he started eating meat because he's like, okay, I needed now right now.
Yeah.
And I know that it's like an easy way to just get super like on earth, right? So like everyone should, as you said, listen to their own body. But that's also like I'm questioning this kind of like needing this or that, because I feel like if you have an intention that you will get the energy during meditation or like during pranayama and so on, if you're gonna, let's say, okay, you're missing some like, I don't know, proteins or some iron or whatever, right? If you intend that you're gonna just like inhale this energy, I'm just questioning. I don't know if it's true or not, but my belief is that you pretty much can like just charge yourself up with all kinds of energy just from the ether. Just when your body is open enough and your channels are open enough and you're enough in tune with your body, you can pretty much get what you need just by meditation. And so that was my experience anyway, when, you know, I didn't even know that I can function without food, but it was 6 months where I literally just drank like one pineapple juice, maybe one coffee, maybe one cacao, one tea, and maybe one other juice per day. And it was enough for me, you know. And I just like, I had my sweet, which was a cacao. I had my, you know, like everything was liquid. It was not like a smoothie or like a cream soup or whatever. Everything was like liquid, and I felt amazing. And I was just meditating, of course, as well, to just make sure that my body is, you know, full of energy. But that's why I'm like questioning all this, because I feel like science hasn't really come up to check like, okay, this is the truth for just from the biological standpoint, but then what is the truth if we take into account quantum physics, if we take into account our ability to create our life and to build our body with different energy, if we take into account our chakra system, our energy field, our emotional, mental, physical, but like all of that, right? Because like I feel like the science or the nutrition industry now, it has only the biological, the physical body it takes into account. But what about all the other bodies, right? What about our other layers? So yeah, I'm just, you know, putting it out there for people to question and just to find their own truth, because like I don't want to put any beliefs into anyone's mind. But for me, as I've checked, it's all really about what your mindset is. And like if you really have a mindset that you can do it and you can get the energy in other ways, it's even, I think, written in the Bible that like when Jesus was fasting, he's like, yeah, I don't actually really need food because I don't know how he said it exactly, but something like I'm just, you know, my father's energy is just filling me up, or whatever he said there, right? So yeah, having said that, it's just for me interesting to talk about these things, because yeah, listen to your intuition, and my intuition said you don't need to eat, you can just meditate and you're just gonna function fine, you know. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like, I think I'm very open-minded, and like I've heard so many different stories, and like it's possible, right? But I think it comes down to like, again, what do you want to do? What are your goals? What are your intentions? For example, if you're pregnant, I wouldn't say starve yourself. I wouldn't say don't eat. You know what I mean? Like you're growing a baby. And so like people are like, oh, well, she said this, so I'm just gonna starve. Like, no. It's like what works for you, and like what are your goals? What are you creating for yourself? Like some people who want to tap deeper into the spiritual realms, and they're like, yeah, I don't need to eat right now. And like that works for them. Now, part of me, like, of course, this is based off of what I believe, and like your beliefs are really important, and that's what shapes your reality. And so it's like for me, I'm like, well, like, is she getting optimal? Like whoever's not eating for 3 years, like, okay, are they getting optimal nutrients? And that's like, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, you know, like we don't know. But I think because I've worked with so many people that are in the fitness space, the bodybuilding space, that space. And so big part of my system is like, well, if you want to grow muscle, if you want to lift really heavy weights, if you want to win this medal and do this stuff, then yeah, you're going to have to get enough protein. But if you're just sitting there meditating, you probably don't need that much protein. And so again, it's like, what are your goals? What are you working towards? What do you want? How do you want to feel? And then we tailor everything to that, right?
Yes, amazing. I love it. That's why I love intuition, because it will always tell us, and the connection to the body. So another question that just came to my mind when you were speaking is like, you said, okay, just get in tune to your body and know what your body needs. But so many people struggle with this connection to the body, right? So do you have any advice for people that are struggling to like feel what is good and what is not for them? Because maybe their body is not clean enough to know straight away. Because I feel like, for example, when you fast, it's so clear to you in your body what you should do and what you shouldn't eat, right? Like, because your body is just like, it's just very clear message. But when you're just eating not very healthy in everyday life, or just semi-healthy, right? Semi-healthy, I think that's how you say it in English. English is not my native language, so you guys have to forgive me. But yeah, if you just eat not very healthy, then you might not have that big of a connection to your body. So do you have any advice for people who are like, yeah, I actually don't really know what's good for me and what's not? Like, how do I develop this connection?
Yeah, I think this is such a good question. So there's two parts to this, I believe. So of course, there's how you can build that and really tune in and like get to know your body more and like build a relationship is, I believe, just by being present, like getting into your body and doing things that help you connect to the body. So movement is such a big one, right? Breathing, meditating, right? Breath work, anything that makes you present, anything that makes you be still and just like feel. I find that so many of us are so go, go, go. There's so many distractions and, you know, there's social media, there's this, there's notifications, there's, oh, you're working, you're all the things. And it's like, are you taking any time and space to just sit in silence, to like turn off your phones, to get out of your head into your body and to breathe, to move, to stretch, to just be? And like, through that, you'll be able to feel and really just feel your body and feel what it's like, right? And then there's other ways, you know, to tune in. You can, you know, do some energy work, or you can do breath work, or, you know, movement and dancing is one of my favorite ways to get into your body. And so, and just really feeling and even like touching yourself and doing things like just connecting, right? Deeper. And so the more you do that, the more you connect and ask yourself really good questions and to see how your body responds. One of the easiest ways to do this is like asking yourself, like, oh, like, should I eat a burger today? And see how you feel about that. Or should I eat some veggies? And like, for me, it would be like, you know, and part of this is like, people know what they need to do, but they are just either too in the habit or like just not in the place where they're willing to shift it. Like, everyone knows they need to eat better. Everyone knows they need to move their body. Everyone knows they should probably meditate, right? But it's like the building the habit and the mindsets and the limiting beliefs that keep us staying in the same place. And it's like, deep down, we know. Because I've had clients say like, oh, I just don't know what to eat. But then they'll say like, yeah, but I probably shouldn't be eating like burgers and fries. Like, yeah, because you know that on a deeper level. And so I think it's like allowing yourself to feel and tune in and like doing the things, the practices, feeling into your body, asking questions, but also just being real with yourself and knowing that you do know what you want to eat and what you need to be eating more of. And like, you just need to allow yourself to be real with yourself, you know?
Absolutely. You know, it's really funny when you ask, like, should I eat a burger today? My body answered yes, because where I'm here I'm in Nosara, and there's this restaurant called Love Burger, and it's like a vegan and gluten-free burger, and it's really, really healthy and really good, and you don't feel heavy after it at all. So when you ask this question, like, should I have a burger? And I'm like, yes, Love Burger, please give me Love Burger.
See, I
like the
love
best
that.
burger ever. It's the best burger ever, honestly. If you guys are in Nosara in Costa Rica, go to Love Burger. It's like one of the best restaurants in the world I've ever been to. So just wanted to say, like, my body is like, yes, give me this burger. So it's funny, you know, because for most of the people, the answer would be no. But actually, like, I have an option to eat something really healthy and really good for my body, and my body wants it. And so, you know, it's like we really need to listen. But I just thought it was funny that my body said,
that is so fun. And I love that because it's like, okay, eat a burger, but what type of burger? Like, is it a homemade burger that's made healthier, or is it a healthier option? Because there are healthier options, right? And so I think it's tuning into that as like a deep fried fast food burger, or it's like a really quality burger, and like, hey, feeling out what one is for you. And so I love that you shared that, because it can be like, you can eat burgers and still be healthy, because it's about what's in the food and how it's processed and like what nutrients are in it. And so, I think it's totally great that you want a burger. And I need to come to Costa Rica and go there.
Oh, you should. It's so good. They have really good gluten-free pizza as well, and other stuff. It's amazing. But I would love to come back to this topic of intuition for a little bit, because you are also coaching coaches. And so putting aside the health and the nutrition and so on, I would love to ask more about the intuition in coaching, because I believe that coaching is when we ask good questions. Like, we coaches are there to really just bring out the answers from the people that are already there inside them, right? To not really put the power in our hands to change someone, coaches or healers or whoever, right? It's like not in our power to change someone. We are more guiding people to bring out the power that they have within to change. And so I wanted to ask about this balance, or like, how do you handle the situation where you want to just let someone get to their own answer, but maybe you get an intuitive insight about someone, and then, you know, like, okay, they maybe would be better off if they did that. But then you don't really want to be direct and don't like, yeah, go and do this, because like we coaches, I'm guessing most of the coaches don't really want to give advice. They just want to like get people to answer their own questions, right? Just ask question to pull it out of them in a way. So like, how do you navigate these kind of situations, and how do you communicate in these situations too?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think like the word coach is really like widespread, and like each coach has a different way of coaching and being. Like I've worked with many coaches that actually don't ask you questions. Like they give you information, and it's like I think it's depending on what you want and where you're at. I'm a mix of both personally, because I do believe I have a lot of valuable information to share with people that people don't know about their body, about the nervous system, about what to eat, about movement, about, being intentional with the everything they're doing. And so like I do provide information, and I think people want that, right? Because they're asking me these questions and they want to learn more about that. But then again, it's like asking them questions and how they can apply the information for their specific life and their specific goals. And so it's like, yeah, they take the information and it's like, here's what to eat, or here's how to balance your hormones or things like that. And it's like, okay, what part of that felt good to you? Like, what do you think you can do? Like, okay, what's coming up? How do you see yourself implementing that? Like, okay, like, and diving deeper into how they can make it work for them. And so I do a mix of both. And I think it just really depends, like, my purpose, why I believe I'm here to help share information and to share my wisdom, share my insights, right? And so when I have something to share, I share it. But again, it's not like you must follow this and this is the only way to do it. It's like, this is what I'm feeling called to share. This is what I want to teach you, blah, blah, blah. And you can take it or leave it. I say that all the time, like take it or leave it. If it feels good to you, try it on for size, do it, implement it in your life. If it works, amazing. If it doesn't work, amazing. And then we can find out what does work for you. And so for me, it's like a dance between the two. It's never just like someone like, what should I eat? I'm like, what you like. I do help them. I give them information, but then we kind of work through the questions after they get the knowledge. And so some coaches are totally only asking questions. Some coaches are only giving information. Some are both. And like, they're all great. And it's also knowing what type of coach you want to work with, and also communicating that with your coach. Like I'm very much into open communication. Like if you want me to ask you more questions, if you want less information, cool, let's do that. If you want more information, let's do that. And that will also look different depending on where you're at in your journey as well. So
yeah, I feel like information, that's cool to me as well, because then it's information is more like, it's not your own perspective, it's more like the facts, right? But what I meant is like your own perspective or your own insight. Like that's where because I know that some coaches just don't really vibe with like telling people what to do, right? But of course everyone has their own choice to follow what you say or not follow what you say. But I feel like for me personally, like I like getting intuitive hits and just communicate it in a way that it's like, I'm just communicating. I have this insight. Like, is it okay if I share this with you? That's just what came up for me and about you. And are you happy to hear it or not? And it might be, might be resonating, might be not, but I just would like to share what came. And I feel like if you pre-frame it in a good way, then no one will take it in a way that you're like imposing someone or something or someone, or trying to get them to do something that they don't want to do, right?
yeah, no, exactly. I love that. That's what I say too. Like if there's something I really want to share, or if it's like, depending if it's a friend even, I'm like, hey, like I just had this, I want to share this. Like, is it okay if I share my thoughts, my insights? And like, they're like, yes, or they're like, no. I'm like, cool. Like, and again, like every time I share anything, I'm like, this is not like still set in stone, like take it or leave it. But I just really felt called to share this with you. And if it resonates, amazing. If it doesn't, disregard it. And I literally say that all the time. And so, yeah, it's like asking for permission to share and then saying like, hey, take what you like, leave what you don't, and they'll extract things. But I think sharing value and like asking if you can share, everyone I've ever asked is like, oh my God, yes, please, and so people are really open to learning and to growing and to, yeah, getting different types of perspectives to improve their life.
Amazing. And so speaking of this topic of intuition, because I just love this topic so much, so I would like to dive deeper into it with you. You're coaching coaches. So do you also teach how to be an intuitive coach, like how to actually combine your knowledge and your wisdom with the intuition? And if yes, then what kind of practices or tips would you have for coaches to develop their intuition and actually like be more, just have a broader perspective on what the client is going through, and being able to combine what they know, like wisdom and intellectual knowledge, with the intuitive hits and their intuitive side as well?
I love that. I love that. So I mostly help people tap deeper into their intuition. And so we do that through a couple ways. And really, it's about feeling the body. And like I said earlier, like responding to what the body is telling you. Now, one of the best ways that I have learned how to do this, and then that I share with people, if they want to try it, they can, is actually something called behavioral kinesiology, or also there's a book called The Emotion Code that's based on behavioral kinesiology. Have you heard of it? Yeah. And so it's just like muscle testing, right? And it's tuning into your subconscious mind and asking it certain questions and feeling the response your body gives to it. And the more you can tune into that response and how that feels, the more you can take that into your day-to-day, into your business, into your coaching, into your eating, whatever it is. And so it's like you ask yourself a question, usually it's a yes or no question, and then your body will either lean forward for a yes, or like there's different ways to test it. I like the leaning forward method. It's just like the most clear for me. For starters, as you get more into your intuition, but yeah, you lean forward for yes, you lean back for no, and then you're like, okay, you just ask yourself a certain questions and yes, no, yes, no. And a part of this, I'm also starting to weave in human design into my coaching as well. Human design has helped me a lot as a human, as really understanding my energy, understanding my type, understanding how I'm meant to respond, how I'm meant to be, how I'm meant to live. And I really believe it can help people give clarity to like what they're meant to be doing and like their design and their energy type and how they're meant to, navigate the world. And it's been really powerful for me. So yeah, allowing people to tune into like their design and also like ask themselves certain questions and then be like, okay, well, like for example, even in their business, like, okay, should I be doing this? Like, this doesn't really feel good to me. Like, what lights me up? Like, what feels better on the body? Like, okay, how do I feel about this? And really just learning how the body navigates and responds to everything you're doing in life. And it's really cool. Eventually you'll learn that your body's always communicating with you, always. And you can always get responses about everything you're doing. And so that's why I really want to help people tap into, so they can feel really good as they're building a business without burning themselves out, while taking care of their health and their well-being, and just becoming, and I like, this is what I say, becoming the most lit up version of themselves, like, and like lighting themselves up by tuning into the things that are for them, right?
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I actually was about to run soon a muscle testing masterclass, free muscle testing masterclass, because I feel like it's such a great skill to know. So if you any of you guys are interested, just text me on the coachng-SoulFamPodcast@gmail.com, because it's like really great to communicate with your subconscious mind and also to discover the beliefs that are holding you back, right? Because that's the thing. Like if we have a mindset, then we can achieve great things. And you're a mindset coach as well, so you probably know that by changing mindset, changing beliefs, and discovering also the beliefs that are holding us back, it's quite powerful, because then we have awareness of what still needs to change for us to go to the next level in our business, in our life, in our relationships, whatever it is that you want to change, right? So that's really powerful. And also for me, from my method and my master manifestation method, and also like other methods that I'm using muscle testing all the time, because I feel like it's a very clear message. But there is a disclaimer as well, because you need to really practice it. I feel like you really need to be in tune with your body to do it correctly, because some people just don't feel it much or just don't do it very correctly. And for me, when I learned it first time, it took me like a month to really find my own way of doing it. And I've tried a few, and only then I was like sure of it, like 100% sure that the answer is right. And I feel like there is a lot of things that we can keep in mind when it comes to muscle testing. But yeah, emotion code is a nice start, I guess. The book,
yeah.
I've read it, and I do emotion code sometimes as well on myself and on my clients. So it's a really great recommendation. So thank you for mentioning this. And so do you feel like the intuition is actually linked to our body response? Because I feel like our body is also very much about our instinct, our subconscious mind, our program, right? But then intuition is like something in our superconscious mind, our it's just another layer of mind in a way. So how do you see the link between these both?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I never thought about that, actually. I think like for me, how I view intuition, it's like it's both for me. And maybe there is a different like concept of this I haven't come across yet, potentially. But like for me, it's like, okay, my intuition is telling me to do certain things. I feel called to do certain things. And then like also it's how my body, I feel like it's how my body feels. Like it feels different. Like, for example, when I think about a certain thing, it's like, oh, okay, my body feels like this. And it's like, I think your body, how your body feels can be an extension of your intuition, but your intuition is also like you being connected to higher powers or your source or whatever energy that's like giving you intuitive downloads and hits. And then how it comes through, this is how I interpret it. Is that, and then it comes through a feeling in the body, right? And so it's like, okay, got intuitive hit to create this masterclass. Oh my gosh, my body feels good about it. It's like, cool. And like, that's how I process it. And again, maybe there's another way to go about this, but yeah, that's what I feel. So it's like kind of two parts, but it gets expressed through a feeling in the body. So after you get that download, the intuitive hit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree with that as well, because like I feel like our emotions is our guidance system, whether we are in alignment with our soul or not, whether we are lit up, as you said, or not. But also I feel like the intuitive hits can come in like a knowing or like a vision or something that we just receive as information. So that's also a good way to know that, okay, we can get intuitive hits in all kinds of ways, really, all kinds of different, and some people hear stuff, some people even taste stuff. You can even taste something, right? Which is quite crazy, but some people do. And so you can get these insights in many, many different ways. But that's really cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so I also wanted to ask you about maybe like just one of the last questions about the tips for coaches from your perspective, based on like the blocks that you see that coaches have, mostly because you've probably worked with many, many coaches. And I feel like there's probably a pattern that is like reoccurring, or most coaches maybe struggle with this or that. So I would love to know if you have any insights about what could be the block for any coach out there. Maybe people would resonate with it, and then maybe they will be able to work on it. And also, if you see any blocks, if you see any limiting patterns or things like that, then how do you go about changing them? How would you coach someone to change them?
Yeah, wow, that's great. Yeah, I see. I mean, I think a lot of us have similar blocks and like similar general themes of things that are limiting us or stopping us. One of the biggest ones I see, especially when it comes to coaches, when they take care of their health, at first, it's like they just keep telling themselves they don't have enough time to work out, to eat healthy, to meditate, to whatever it is that you want to do when it comes to taking care of your body. And it's like the narrative, like, oh, I'm just so busy. I have so many things to do. Like, oh, am I building a business? Like, I got clients and I just don't have time. Like, I don't have time to go to the gym and work out and get all, and it's just like this narrative. And it's like, the biggest thing I see is like, I do like an energy audit or like a time audit with my people. It's like, okay, let's look at what you're doing in the day. And another limiting belief is that it needs to take a lot of time to go to the gym, to work out, to exercise, to make healthy food. And being healthy is so time consuming, which is a limiting belief, because it doesn't have to be, but it is if you believe it is, right? And so it's like, okay, it takes so much time to go to the gym, let's say. And it's like, but you spend 2 hours a day scrolling TikTok, you spend an hour overthinking your caption, you spend this time, and it's like, okay, what are we actually doing in our day? What is helping us get towards a goal? How can we be more efficient, more productive, more focused? And as you work on your health, so I'm letting them understand, like, if you worked on your well-being and optimizing your brain and like being in a focused state, you would be saving time and it would spend less time doing the content and looking for ideas and spend less time scrolling TikTok. That creates more time. And then you can go work out and go eat healthy. But then like your working out doesn't have to be an hour. And this is where it comes in. It's like, yes, you need to move your body, but what does that look like for you? Like for me, I dance. That's how I move most of the time. I go to the gym too, but I dance more often than not. And it's like, can you dance for 20 minutes? Can you do yoga for 20 minutes? Can you go for a 20-minute walk? Like, it doesn't have to be at the gym lifting weights and like spending an hour grueling, like doing all this crazy stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be. Of course, if you want to, you can, but it's like letting yourself have a greater open mind about what the possibilities are for you to get movement in. And I think another limiting belief is like, people think it has to be a certain way in order for it to be okay for them to do or acceptable. Like, not only in their health and their well-being, but in their business as well. It's like, oh, but like I have to do group coaching or one-on-one coaching in this way, or like I have to host a masterclass, or, and I believe this mindset goes in all areas of life. It's like, no, you don't have to. What do you want to do? It's the one thing I always ask, like, what do you want to do? What feels good for you? What is something that feels easy? What's more flowy for you to do, right? And it's like, okay, I want to dance. Oh, actually, I want to host a voice only Telegram group or whatever it is. They're like, yeah, that feels good to me. That excites me. Like, And it's like, you get to create, my biggest narrative is you get to create whatever you want to create in your life. Like if you want to get healthy dancing, you can. If you want to only do one-on-one coaching, you can. Like there is no rules, and you get to make your own rules. And so it's the limiting beliefs that put them in the box of the things that they think they need to be doing and how it should look like. And then breaking those for them. And so it's like allowing them and giving them examples and evidence. There's lots of different ways to go about this, but like how I work through this is like breaking limiting beliefs by taking them through a series of exercises, by breaking limiting beliefs, but also like rewiring the subconscious mind around these beliefs. And so different things like meditations, hypnosis, visualizations, affirmations, and just like also body work, right? One thing I've started to do recently is like affirm things through movement. And so like we will move and also affirm. It's like we'll move our body, we'll have like a little dance, or like shake it out, and then we'll affirm and say things out loud. And so it's like a combination of like saying it, but also moving through it. And so that's lots of ways to do it. But it's like, what do you want to believe? And how can we anchor that in and then build the belief system and then take action to reinforce those beliefs, or get yourself around people that are doing these things to reinforce those beliefs, and then just keep doing it and then really shifting those beliefs so you can create that life that you know you can have, but you just keep telling yourself you can't. And so those are some of the things that I would lean towards there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I love changing beliefs. I'm myself a belief changer for people and helping them moving through it. So to me, it's such a broad and such an important topic to talk about. And I feel like we just scratched the surface. But yeah, our time is almost over here. So I have one little question to you, just to ask, where would people see the most of your content if they would like to follow, they would like to see more of what you have to offer? What's the best way to find you?
Yeah, I love that. My most active would be probably Instagram. So go to my Instagram. It's at Pearl Cicci, and I'm sure you'll link it in the podcast notes. But I also have a podcast. I also have a YouTube channel. I also am on TikTok. But if you just want to get into my world, Instagram me, DM me, or follow me, and then you'll learn more about all the things that I'm doing. And yeah, I've been so grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm super grateful for you as well. I feel like we really talk about the important topics that need questioning nowadays. So I'm super grateful for your time and energy and everything that you shared with us. Thank you so, so much.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Send you so much love.